Welcome to Cloud Tech Talk. In this episode, you will learn about Kubernetes and the options for running Kubernetes cloud service. Kubernetes is designed so that a single Kubernetes cluster can run across multiple failure zones, typically where these zones fit within a logical grouping called a region. Major cloud providers define a region as a set of failure zones, also called availability zones, that provide a consistent set of features. Within a region, each zone offers the same APIs and services. Let's understand how will be a node behavior in Kubernetes. Kubernetes automatically spreads the pods for workload resources, such as deployment or stateful set, across different nodes in a cluster. This spreading helps reduce the impact of failures. Let's understand networking in Kubernetes. By itself, Kubernetes does not include zone-aware networking. You can use a network plugin to configure cluster networking, and that network solution might have zone-specific elements. Typical cloud architectures aim to minimize the chance that a failure in one zone also impairs services in another zone. You should understand 1. The options for running Kubernetes on AWS. 2. How to create a Kubernetes cluster on AWS. Kubernetes is hugely popular and growing, and is primarily used on the cloud. 83% of organizations included in a large CNCF survey said they run Kubernetes on at least one public cloud. Amazon is a natural option for Kubernetes clusters, due to its mature and robust infrastructure, and a variety of deployment options with a varying degree of automation. Let's understand Kubernetes on AWS. Kubernetes is an open-source container orchestration platform created by Google. You can use Kubernetes for on-premises, cloud or edge deployments. When used in combination with AWS, you use Kubernetes to manage clusters of Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud (EC2) instances that host your containers. When deploying Kubernetes in AWS, you can configure and manage your deployment by yourself for full flexibility and control. You also have the option of using either AWS-provided services or third-party services to manage your implementation. Alternatives to self-management include kops, an open-source tool you can use to automate the provisioning and management of clusters in AWS. Although not a managed tool, kops does enable you to simplify deployment and maintenance processes. It is officially supported by AWS. Other is Amazon Elastic Kubernetes Service (EKS), a managed service offered by AWS. EKS uses automatically provisioned instances and provides a managed control plane for your deployment. Third one is Rancher, a complete enterprise computing platform to deploy Kubernetes clusters everywhere, on-premises, in the cloud and at the edge. Rancher unifies these clusters to ensure consistent operations, workload management and enterprise-grade security. Let's understand running Kubernetes on AWS EC2. Before you begin, to create a Kubernetes cluster on AWS, you will need an access key ID and a secret access key from AWS. Supported production-grade tools. ConjureUp is an open-source installer for Kubernetes that creates Kubernetes clusters with native AWS integrations on Ubuntu. Kubernetes operations, production-grade K8s installation, upgrades, and management. Supports running Debian, Ubuntu, CentOS, and RHEL in AWS. KubeAWS creates and manages Kubernetes clusters with Flatcar Linux nodes, using AWS tools, EC2, CloudFormation and autoscaling. KubeOne is an open-source cluster lifecycle management tool that creates, upgrades and manages Kubernetes highly available clusters. So, finally the conclusion, you understood the 3 ways to automatically spin up a Kubernetes cluster. Using kops, an open-source library that lets you quickly create a cluster using CLI commands. Using Amazon Elastic Kubernetes Service, creating a cluster managed by Amazon, with high availability and security built in. Using Rancher with EKS, creating a cluster with Rancher as an additional management layer, which provided user authentication and RBAC, enhanced security, and the ability to launch Kubernetes clusters on other public clouds or in your local data center, and manage everything on one pane of glass. Thank you for watching and please subscribe for our channel for more multi-cloud tutorials.